Greetings.
Greetings.
We are back in the space with Circle of Sisters Table Talks, the virtual podcast, Sister Circle, and loving, safe, and sacred space where myself, Sacred Woman Practitioner Sherry Unk, known to you all as Lady Unk, and my sister.
Chantel Sierta Shakim, your holistic health practitioner or holistic self care practitioner. We are here today to talk about speaking your dreams into reality. This is a very, very, very practical idea to embrace. What do you have to say about that, sis?
Absolutely. When we think of our words and our speech, we take for granted the fact that we are using literally the breath of life as a sound frequency as we utter whatever it is that comes out of our mouth. We're using our life force energy, our breath, in order to speak things into existence. Our words are a sound frequency. And so each and every word, each and every syllable, each and every sound that we utter carries a vibrational tone or a vibrational frequency along with it, which is why the words that we speak are super, super important.
Yes, yes. And that leads us to our principles. This week, we're talking about all of the principles. We are preparing for our Embracing the Queen intensive coming up October 22nd, where we're going to dive deeper into each of these principles. So, this principle for today is the principle of words or speaking your dreams into a reality. Um, as you mentioned, words are frequencies, and frequencies create things, right? We have the power of our voice to create things that we want and even sometimes things that we don't want by just speaking them out. So we are going to hone in on today about how we speak our dreams into reality. This is just a surface level discussion, just piquing an interest of our audience to think about how do you speak your dreams into reality? Or how do you use words to alter your experiences? Because we have that ability. I know in one of our previous podcasts, we talked about how words come into us, and then what we take in is what we give out. And in that space, words can enter our body through multiple ways, right? It's what we feel in our heart, it's our thoughts, it's sometimes the things that we take in through music, through
Give it
television,
to Chloe. She'll
through
open it.
music, television, or the internet, and we begin to speak those things out into our reality, which allows us to experience it. So we want to take that information and begin to use it in a very positive, uplifting, and productive way. So this is how we allow our dreams to become our reality, by speaking words of power, speaking words of positivity, speaking words of abundance and richness and wealth and health. So this is part of speaking our words into reality. What more would you add to that?
What I would add to that is, really being mindful and listening to what we say. There's no expression, think before you speak. And that comes to mind whenever we get into words of power or words of affirmation or speaking life, is thinking before you speak, because the words that you say carries a frequency. And so oftentimes we say things unconsciously that we don't realize is casting conscious spells over our life. It is really solidifying some of our greatest fears, our stressors, our pain points. When you think of it as when you're a child and you're teaching your child certain things, how to walk, how to ride a bike, you always tell them, don't say I can't. You can. Do not say I can't. You reaffirm that with the child, because you understand as long as they're saying they can't, they'll keep falling. They won't be able to ride the bike without the training wheels. It's the same thing for us adults. We have to remove the verbal patterns that we say that really keeps us in a chokehold. I'll give an example. Prior to coming into my spiritual awareness of the power of my words and the true power of my words, I had an epiphany. I woke up one morning, and it was towards the beginning of the year, and I said, this was about 6 or 7 years ago, and I said, I'm going to stop saying I'm broke. I'm not going to
Mm.
even use that terminology anymore. I'm going to remove the phrase I'm broke. When people ask me, can I do something? Or do I want to go here? Do I want to go there? I used to always say, girl, I'm broke. I can't do it. I'm broke. I'm broke. I'm broke. I'm broke. I'm broke. Okay.
So you was experiencing that brokenness in real
And
time,
I was
right?
experiencing that brokenness, and not even just I was consciously saying I was broke as far as finances, but subsequently after that, I ended up breaking my leg. I ended up literally breaking body parts, right? So I'm like,
Wow.
okay, wait a minute. I'm
I'm
removing
not
this.
broke.
I'm not I'm not broke. I'm not saying that no more. And the moment I shift my verbal communication as to my finances, the moment my finances changed. When I stopped saying I was broke, when I stopped uttering those words, almost instantly my reality changed. I didn't go get a new job. In fact, I actually left the workforce industry. Um, I didn't do anything beyond literally changing my vernacular, changing the way I spoke. And so that's one of the examples I would love to give as far as changing your words and how powerful that can be, and really not even consciously thinking of the things that we say sometimes.
Right, right. You made a point when you said, our words cast spells. And, some people want to talk about, everything is not so as it is. But really, our words are what creates. So whether you want to think of it as casting spells, or if you want to just see it as a way that you are manifesting your realities based on the words that you're speaking, this is a real thing. So as we begin to, even as you shared, you kept speaking about being broke. Not only were you speaking on it in the sense of maybe financial brokenness, but it manifested in your body as breaking something for real. So it's like, wow, when we step back or zoom out and begin to see what words we're speaking and how that is resonating in our environments, this is the reality that we're creating. So we want to empower our audience to begin to speak words that create realities that you truly want to experience. So with that, I have an example as well of talking, always saying, I'm being used. I'm being used. Everybody's here to use me, right? Everybody's taking advantage of me. Everybody is taking from me. And seriously enough, I am a giving person. So it's like, how are you being used in your mindset, in your crown space? How are you thinking and speaking that you're being used when you're always giving? So, and in that, I'm saying I'm being used, I'm being taken advantage of, da 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 da. And sure enough, I got in a situation where I was truly taken advantage of. And not only in my body, it wasn't in my body, but it was in my finances. I went into a business deal with someone thinking that they had good intentions, thinking that I most certainly had good intentions. And a whole bunch of money was taken, and it was like, wow, I had been speaking that over and over and over, even with the idea in my heart, in my mind, that I'm giving to a good cause and I'm giving in a way that serves me. But in fact, the being taken advantage of came through in a big, big way. And I was like, okay, like you, what did that teach me? Right? because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really bitter at the person for doing what he did, but I was able to see how my words brought that experience into my reality. So as I began to look at that, I began to say different words. I began to speak different messages of what I truly wanted to receive in my reality. And I began to see the opposite of what I have been speaking. So now as I'm giving in the sense of, this is truly what I want to receive. I'm giving in the idea of, I'm going to receive back everything that I pour out, everything that I give, whether it be emotionally, physically, mentally, financially. Everything that I give is coming back to me. And I have seen how that began to change my experience and my reality just by changing the way that I spoke, and then the way that I thought as well, because our thoughts become things, whether we know it or not. We think and we speak, and those become our realities. So we encourage everyone on the live today to begin to think about how you speak, the words you say, and how it impacts the things that you get to experience in this reality.
I
Words
love.
are powerful. Words are powerful.
Yes, they are. And sis, I love that you mentioned you had to take accountability for the role you played in what had played out in your life. And oftentimes we don't want to take accountability for how we speak over our life, because many times we speak without thinking. We speak just off the top of our head without really saying, oh, is this the energy that I want to put out into the universe? Is this the frequency that I want to put out into the universe? When I was young, my grandmother was very superstitious. And so whenever we had a bad dream, she would tell us, don't tell anyone about it, because of the fact that she didn't want us to make that dream a reality by speaking it out loud. She was like, "Oh, if it's a bad dream, just forget about it. Don't tell us anyone about it." Or that she would say something, and everybody had a grandma who said say something, and then they'd be like, "Knock on wood," because they don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? They don't
Yes.
want that to
Shift
happen.
that
So
vibration. Shift it
shift
up.
that back.
Mix it up a little bit.
Let me knock on wood to exactly. I didn't even really even think about it that way, but yeah, that sound, that vibrational frequency shifts the vibration of those words that you just spoke to
Yes.
hopefully help break that up. Wow.
Yes.
Even
And
in this
wood
moment,
is
I learned something more
Look,
about it.
wood is a conductor of energy, right? Wood is a
Okay.
conductor of energy. And when we begin to think about our words being energy, because we are having an energetic experience, and everything that we do is being created through energy. So even we think about it on a broad scale when we think about the science of energy, that everything is created through movement of something. So something is moving, and that is what creates. So even our words go out, and it begins to mold against the things that resonates like it,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Absolutely.
and it brings it into form. So even like I'm so thankful for this podcast and just this opportunity to speak a vibration into creating the lives that we want to live, right? So
Absolutely.
this is definitely a great uh a presentation of what we are creating, right? We are
Mm-hmm.
creating it by speaking our words, speaking life into a vibrational frequency that will begin to bring back those things that we are hoping, not knowing, is coming our way, right?
I
It's just
say.
like those words are being able to create, and it's coming quickly. I mean, I think about the internet in general, how quickly word travels, right?
Mm-hmm.
We travel all over the world just by picking up a cell phone and scrolling. You're tapping into so many different places all at once. And that is that energy that has been cultivated in the cell phone, in the social media, in these apps to get information out so quickly. And then it's like, okay, how do you utilize that information? Are you utilizing grabbing the things that you need to begin to impact your right now reality? So I really am just pondering all of that in this moment, how quickly words travel, how quickly energy travels, how
Mm-hmm.
quickly we can manifest the lives we want by honing in on the energy and the frequency and the vibration that brings us those desires. What's within us, we do have to speak it out. And we speak out the things that bring us what we want to receive back.
Absolutely. And I do want to mention, in here in America, we have what many would consider a broken language, because we are a land of migrants, a land of travelers, nomads. Our language here in America is very jumbled. It is very intersynced with a lot of different backgrounds, and so one of the things we go into within the Embracing the Queen within course and framework is we go into really learning the etymology of the words that we're using, learning what they actually mean, because oftentimes, and this is why some people have found difficulty in reading ancient texts or reading like the Bible, because of how the words are structured and how they're framed. um, we really have to understand the root of the words, what they mean, how it breaks down, so that we can educate ourselves into speaking higher vibrations into the atmosphere. And that is not easy. Trust me. We still, as you see us sometimes searching for the right word, that's so that we are affirming that what we want to see and what we want to manifest. So it's a process. I mean, you've been going this long speaking one way, and now I'm telling you, let's start to try to remove or transform some of those words that we are speaking. I also want to talk about, as we talk about words, one of the most fascinating things, and I want to challenge everyone within this podcast or within this post, if you're watching it on replay, if you're watching it right now, I want to challenge everyone to Google search their name and the meaning of their name, and see how many different meanings they come up with different cultures, different religions, and tell me what it means. I myself Google searched my name, and as you all know, my my comedic name is Sherry Abnetter Unk, which is the full name. And it means, its literal translation is the vessel of truth and life. Sherry is actually the name of a priest in the 19th dynasty, which I found awesome because I've always wanted to be a preacher. So I was like, preach, preacher.
Interesting,
I
right?
love that. But just today, while in preparation and while meditation, I looked up the etymology of my birth name, Kamisha. And first of all, um, I had looked it up before, but I know that everything happens in divine timing when you find stuff. When I looked it up before, I didn't resonate with what I had found
Found.
at that time. But this time when I looked it up, I found quite a few things. That my name, the way it is spelled exactly, breaks down into Kai, which is spirit or soul, and Esha, which is life. So soul of life or spirit of life. I was like, come through,
Yes,
come
come
through.
through. Yes.
Come through. So I absolutely love that. And as more information is being loaded into technology, more things become available to us. And it is really important that we utilize these devices and this technology to really educate ourselves. And so I just wanted to leave that challenge for those of you who have fun with wordplay. Research your name, research your children's name to really find out what it means, because I'll guarantee you, you'll find something that resonates with your spirit and your soul that will help you to really kind of stand and own who you are in your queenly energy.
Yes, so I'll dive into that as well, because I have also looked up my birth name of Chantel, and I just kind of left it at that. And in its meaning, it means the singer. So I'm like, I ain't no singer, but honestly, I have a word and a song all the time. So I'm like, oh, okay, I don't have to be a professional singer, but the energy and the essence of music is within me. And then my given name, my Ren name, or my ascension name, given by Mut Kajara, with Raseki.
Reiki Arts
Um,
Temple.
yep, after I completed my Reiki certification, my Raseki Reiki certification, I was given Sierta Shakim. And Sierta Shakim is spiritual ecstasy or trance is my ultimate power. So I definitely resonate with that truth, because I find myself always in this trance type state where it's like, am I here or am I there? And it's like, okay, how do I tap into integrating that into my music, into my musical essence of being me? So I really began to navigate and embody both of those, or all of those names, and just really showing up and allowing it to be my power, right? Allowing it, where they say sometimes where you're weak, you're really strong. So I
Hmm.
know some of you who know me know that I always have a song, even though it might be weak.
But and you know
It's
what?
powerful. Yes.
What's so funny? As soon as you said that it means singer, I instantly thought of
Look,
greeting
it's even
because
coming
that
through.
is a vibrational frequency that I don't know if you know it or not, but you send immediately once we pick up the phone. Every time we see each other, I mean, that has transcended, and it does send people in a trance. You instantly uh, shift people's energy with one word and your voice. So, absolutely, I totally see it.
Give thanks. And that brings me back to what I wanted to comment about word etymology before, when you were saying, every word has a meaning. And even in the greetings that I'm always saying, greetings, it does shift. But I also think about how we greet each other, or the past way of greeting by good morning, right? Good
Mm.
morning, and knowing where that comes from. And even some people are like, grand rising, but are you one of them grand rising type people? But I'm like, grand rising is better for me. It feels better than good morning. But even grand rising is like, okay, am I grandly rising, or am I just greeting you? And I want to greet you with the essence of joy, of excitement. So greetings, the way it comes out from me, is more of a embodiment of who I am. So even let's talk about that. Good morning, as everyone speaks.
Absolutely.
Where does that stem from, and what is the etymology of that? And we could see mourning as in mourning, sadness, grief, or mourning as in a time of day. So how do you spin that in your understanding and
Absolutely.
use?
Well, in my youth, "good morning" was a phrase that we said because the morning was the time of day when we arose. Um, However, in my education and as I have learned more about where that word, the word, um, well, we all know the meaning of the word mourning, right? We know that it comes from, like you said, the grief, the sorrow. And this is where we talk about how the English language can sometimes be jumbled because of the way things have been misconstrued and how we've learned it throughout, um, 400 years of being enslaved and really picking up the language,
Yes.
right? We weren't really taught. We picked up the language of our masters and we jumbled it with language that we knew. And so, as my understanding and my education has presented to me, good morning was what the slavers or the masters would say um, the day after they had done a lynching or had beaten, one of the slaves. And so they would say good morning as like basically it's a good day to mourn, almost in a sense of like, it's good that you're mourning because you ain't on the other side. You know what I'm saying? You ain't on the other side of that.
Or even as it's like a ridicule, in a sense, a ridicule, like, okay, you're mourning and that's good. I've often seen how, that can play too, because it's like, oh, it's good that you're mourning because it could have been you, or it could have been somebody else. I mean, it could have been another situation, give or take. So mourning in and of itself is is a word that constantly comes through in ways that we may or may not understand the use of the word. But in our culture today, good morning is considered a very good salutation, a way to acknowledge someone in a positive way. But if you dig deeper into where that came from, it may implore you to use it in a different way. So for me, my greeting is greetings, greetings to shift your vibration, to bring you back into a positive frequency, because not every day is a good morning. Not every day is a bad morning, it's just a way to greet each other. So as we've been talking about our words and creating the reality that we want to experience. And my co-host seems to be having a little technical difficulties, so I will continue in letting you know that we are here in this space and the energy ain't gonna stop us. How about that? So
So ain't.
we are thankful that you were able to rejoin us, sis. I was just continuing to speak on, the difference between morning and greetings, and how good morning is really something that is a greeting, right? That's how we are trying to connect with the individual. And in past history, it had been used in a way that may have not been good intention. But in our today society, when you say good morning, that is supposed to be a positive greeting.
Mhm.
So me using greetings as my introduction or connection with individuals is been resonating as a truth for me, whether it be a good morning or a bad morning. I'm greeting you with an energy to bring forth more positivity into my reality. So that's where I'm at with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? As we talk about the power of our words, right now we live in a cancel culture, right? Where you have to be very, very mindful and sensitive to the words that you use because you could use some things that may offend another group of people or maybe a sensitive subject matter or topic. And so we tend to try in this day and age to tread lightly on the things that we discuss. And there are plenty of words that I think um, our society, the melanated beings of the world, I think we have a wonderful way of transmuting what is supposed to be known as negative words into terms of endearment. Um,
Look, we do that well, right? It's like, oh, well, that's what you say, but that ain't what I meant, right?
right, right. We have a way with, transmuting, those words. The two words that first come to mind when I think of transmuting those words is the nigga word, right? And the bitch word. Those are two
Yes.
words that we have really transformed. And a few days ago, I heard Charleston White, and he's a very controversial character, but I heard Charleston White talk about the word nigga, and it struck me because he said I would rather be called a nigga than anything else. He said when they were calling us boy or whatever, that was disrespecting us. They only called us nigga when we stood up to them, or nigger when we stood
Ooh,
up to them.
ooh.
And girl, he blew me away when he said that, because I never looked at it that way. I never looked at at it that way. And we've often transmuted words, and I could never justify that one. I think that one was one I could not really justify. Like, why are we saying this? We shouldn't be saying that. But when he said, nigga, they only called us a nigga when we stood up to them. Otherwise, it
Ooh.
was boy. So it really helped me change the way I looked at us saying that particular word.
Look, that is good. So it was really in the empowerment when we felt empowered to do and to be
To
and to
stand against.
express ourselves in a way that kind of went against the grain, that's when that term was used. And we've often, even in our society and our culture, saw connect that word with something bad. But that is a great way to express how that is a turn or a play on words that can also be utilized in an empowering way, just like the B word, right? So we hear that a lot, a boss bitch, or a boss chick, which they've kind of um, moved it over to that, which is more easy for me more palatable to my lips, because that B word, it really has always been a very offensive word for me.
Mhm.
And in our Embracing the Queen Within intensive, we're going to dive into that, and how do we overcome that and letting it go, letting it, and the topic is let that be go, let that be
Like,
go. Because we need to let it go when it begins to infringe on our friendships, infringe on our relationships, infringe on us, excuse me, even showing up for ourselves. So this topic is all about the words that we use and how we can utilize words to create experiences and realities that support us in being our best self. So I'm not sure where you want to go with that.
well, what I do want to say is I'm glad that you brung that up, because I grew up in LA. We got different tones and things that we say when we use the word bitch. It's like if your friends say bitch and it's real long, she got a secret to tell you. If she say bitch, she got some tea. Depending on the way she say it, it means a different thing out here. And so with that, Callie, you are really being a nuisance.
Don't call the child that. Use the right words. She is definitely seeking your attention. She is definitely seeking your attention.
She said,
Hey,
"You see, look,
Kylie.
see, this is what
Hey,
you get.
Kylie.
You get checked in real time. you
Look.
get."
Hey, Kylie. Hey, girl. You coming into the frequency, sis. Hey.
Hey, her little dry. Hey,
Oh, let's think
hey.
about that word. Hey. So I am a Midwestern. So in the Midwest, we don't use that word. We always are like, okay, hey is in fact for horses or cows. It ain't to say hello, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I first came, I was very young when I started coming down south. And our family used to take trips to Florida. And I remember the disconnect in that word of hey. I remember I was outside in front of my our summer home where we would go for the summers, and it was some little girls there, and they were like, hey, hey, and I'm like, why are they saying hey and waving at me? I didn't understand that hey is the same thing as hi. So that was something again that I had to put into my new system, put into my mind, put into my crown space, and begin to integrate with that word being hello, or another way of saying hello. And now I'm haying all day long because I understand, and the people around me understand that word to mean that thing. So as we begin to be in different cultures and different societies and different places in our world, we have to begin to see what words and how those frequencies of those words create experiences. So now, hey is a common word from where I'm at now. But back home, we don't say hey. We don't say hey to address somebody. And I'm sure people may find that, something that they've kind of been exposed to, or maybe not, because it wasn't until I moved out of, the Midwest that I began to hear that word and see that that word was being used to as a greeting. So that's a good kind of spin on it.
I'm glad that you said that because many of us travel. Many of us, travel. We've moved around from city to city, and that is a huge layer of importance. Utilizing the right words for where you are, understanding where you are, um, and sometimes adapting your terminology based on the area and environment you are in. There are words that in certain parts of the country or world you can't even say. You know what I'm saying? Or to be extremely offensive. And so this is why studying the etymology of words, being open minded into how we speak within our reality really helps to shift the vibrational frequency of not only ourselves but those around us. As we align our words with our heart's desire, we reconfirm that which we have saw, and those are the tools that you need in order to really start the first steps of manifestation.
Uh-oh. I think we lost her again. So yes, the
Sorry.
first tools of manifestation. Yes, I was gonna
Thank
pick
you.
Veggie back on that.
Thank you. Everybody trying to call me at this hour. I'm on live, y'all. Come into the room.
Come into the space. Come into the space.
But as I was saying, those are the steps to manifestation. So when we think about something, we get a vision of something, we start to believe it in our hearts, we start to speak that vibrational frequency. That's how we start to pull and align ourselves with that which we desire. Okay. And so this
Yes.
is, our words hold so much weight. We've heard that famous saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. That's because of the power that words carry, the power of our words and our thoughts being brought into this reality, and it really starts with what we say.
Yes, and that again, what you just said about the power of the pen is stronger than the sword, also made me immediately think about how we say life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? So as we begin to speak, we need to begin to be mindful. Are we speaking words of life? Are we speaking words of death? You know, and as we begin to speak, we have to be consciously aware of what it is we are doing. I mean, the words are very, very powerful. The words that we have heard also are just as powerful. In the intensive, we'll talk about how, the words that have been spoken over our life by our loved ones, and those words have begun to permeate our being to make us believe that we are maybe something quite different than what was spoken about us. I remember a scenario and a situation that was very impactful to me as a young girl. One of my uncles had told me one time, um, that I was gonna be just like my aunt. And this was an aunt that was for the streets, honey. This this auntie was definitely for the streets, but that was her path, right? And no one talked in about her in a very positive way. It was more of a, really, really bad way. And me as a young adolescent girl looking at her life, I was not I was not inspired by it. Nonetheless, I did really follow the path, and hence this is the reason he said it, because I had gotten in some trouble, and it was along the path of that aunt, and he spoke that over my life like that's gonna be my end all be all, and it really triggered me. I didn't know what a trigger was, but it really angered me. It made me feel like, oh my God, this is all I have to look forward to. What can I do to change it? Because his words speaking it to me made me feel like that was the truth, right? So I, at that moment, began to really ponder, like, is this truly what my life is going to be? Because this has been spoken over me. So as we begin to think about the words that we have spoken over our children, or even our own personal experiences of what words were spoken over us as a child, are we still believing those words as truth, even if it doesn't feel like it's your truth? So yeah, our words and the words that we hear and the words that have been spoken over us by the people that we love or the people that we esteem can impact the way our life, our reality presents itself. So I remember that specific situation, and I'm like, I don't think so. And I was at an age where I could really kind of at least begin to navigate, like,
This
I
ain't my
don't want
story.
that for me. I don't want that for me. Even though I loved my aunt, and I mean, I did look a lot like her. We did have a lot of the same mannerisms. But even in that, my relationship with her was so close that I loved her for who she was. And, she didn't pour out her life and telling me, oh, you got to do it this way, do like this. She actually would always encourage me to do things other, to not be like her. And so that was kind of a way that even the words that were spoken in reference to her life truly wasn't even the life she wanted to live, but it was the experience that she was having. But she was able to pour back into me words of affirmation and encouragement, like, nah, I show you what it's like now, but
But nah.
but you really don't want to go this way, right? So it's just really about looking at our lives and looking at how things are poured into us, spoken over us, and how we accept them as our truth to begin to speak back those things that we want to experience so that we can create more of a reality that we want to live. And this is a very powerful and deep work when it comes to understanding words and understanding how to use words to cast spells or to create experiences. I mean,
That
I'm
you
gonna pause
desire.
right there, that you want to experience, because we do it independently without even thinking whether you want to use it as casting spells or not. Our words and the way we speak does, in fact, change our reality. So we want to empower you to begin to speak words of life, over your situations, over your people. I mean, even when it comes to prayer, okay? That's another way that I've been taught to begin to change the outcome. So I know we have often began to pray for healing. Well, why not pray in a way that you already see them healed? not saying, oh, I pray that she gets well. No, I see her well. I see her body functioning at its highest capacity, speaking those words in ways to create the experience you want, not to give power to the limiting experience that a person may be experiencing. And we teach ourselves, and we teach the people that come into our circle how to do that, because it does take a renewing of our mind to begin to work with our words to create situations that we want to experience.
Absolutely. And I do want to say that the women who find this particular principle really helpful in transforming their lives are normally women who have been said to speak negative or have a negative outlook on life. They may be women who are very self-conscious, self what's the word that I'm looking for?
Bitter,
Bitter,
angry,
angry. Um,
the
they,
the mad black woman
the
syndrome.
mad black woman syndrome. Absolutely, they may really fall victim to gossip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they may really fall victim to gossip. And so these are some of the things that will show that you're probably out of balance if you carry any of these in heavy loads. And so we kind of help you to process on how to shift those narratives, how to shift that mindset, and how to shift out of those bad habits that we, tend to get into within the program. I also want to speak to the fact that this is a place where you get to practice. You get to practice maintaining those good habits. And so for the 12 weeks, we're not just learning this stuff, we're practicing them. We're holding ourselves and each other accountable. As you saw earlier in the call a few minutes ago, Sis quickly corrected me. This is what you get in real time when you enter into a sisterhood that is set to really hold you to being the highest version of yourself, and we don't take it lightly. You know what
And
I'm
it's a
saying?
work in progress. We haven't achieved the maximum level of
Absolutely.
knowing what to do, what to say, how to do it. We are just utilizing our own experiences to do that, right? We are utilizing what we have already what we are working through in the process of working with you and working with our own sisters. It's not that we've already mastered the skill 100%, but we do have the tools, and we do have the insight, and we do have the information that can help us each help each other. Because this is not a do it yourself, do it by yourself program, right? We are
Right.
always evolving. We are always expanding and growing. And even the angry black woman syndrome has been instilled in you. And
Okay.
it's probably in your mama. It's probably in your grandma. It's probably in your aunts. It's probably in your whole lineage, but you get the opportunity to change it if you're feeling called to do so. Because sometimes it will take your daughter to be the one that changes it, because it's something that is so instilled that it is hard to break. It is hard to break if you don't practice it, if you don't see it for what it is, and know that, you know what, I really don't want to always see the worst case scenario. I really don't always want to be the one looking to see how I can pull somebody down, or, what is it called? Not straighten the crown, right?
Right.
I want to always see the worst in somebody, because that will at least make me feel good that she ain't all that. But it's like, really, sis, does it matter if she's all that or not? Who cares? But understanding that that energy is something that permeates within us. And we've all been there in some way, shape, or form. It's not to say that we are exempt from it. It's just an energy that doesn't bring forth more experiences that we want to experience. some women do get caught up in gossip. We think about, people always wanting to talk about the stories, right? I don't know if the stories is a big thing, but when my aunties them, when I was young, my aunties them, they was always talking about the stories and what Marlena's doing and what this person's doing. And it's like,
The
who
stories,
cares?
the news stories are reality TV.
Or what? Oh yes, the Real Housewives and the what is it, Doctor Wives and
She said,
NBA wives. I don't even know. I don't watch that stuff. But that is a way of just wanting to know the ins and outs so you can talk about it. But is it empowering you to be a better person? Is it helping you to live a better life? Is it allowing you to really know why you think the way you think and why you do the things you do? And especially if they're not things that really at the core of who you are make you a better person or make you feel good about yourself. Some people do thrive on negativity and they are looking for every opportunity to feed that. But what if we told you there was another way to feed the good in you and allowed you to really tap into that to create even better experiences that don't violate the rights of others, that don't pull people to low frequencies and make them feel that they are less than who they are, because we all have been sent here for a purpose. And in fact, some people have been sent here to be the gossipers. That's just your job, honey. Do it and do it well, but but at the point where you begin to think, do I really want to continue? That's the point of change. That's the point where you can begin to work with what you've been given and say, you know what, this ain't working for me anymore. I want to experience something different. And we get an opportunity. It's all a choice. It's all a choice.
Absolutely, absolutely. And earlier today, right before we got on the call, we always do a prayer and a card pull. So you have a few words to start right there in front of you. Let's
Okay.
share
This is
those.
the day we
Let's,
speaking into the vibrations and the
yes.
energies. So this is I really like to tap into my conscious knowing by seeing visual presentations of what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and what I'm hearing. This is another way to tap into universal God consciousness. And I pull oracle cards and get messages to confirm. I want you to know that this is not something speaking outside of me, but it is something confirming within me. So if it resonates with you, receive. If it doesn't, let it go. Okay? So the first card that I pulled today was the creator of air. This is from my Secrets of the Ancestor Oracle. It is written by Abola Abrams. It is a very, very powerful deck in where it really connects to the essence of I am. And the creatures of air the word at the bottom says speed. So we're going to read it from the book just to keep it in alignment with what the word specifically says. But oftentimes I just look at the card, I look at the picture, I look at the image, and I interpret it from what it brings to me. But most of the time, what I'm interpreting just by looking at it, of what it means to me, it does resonate to what it says in the book. So again, I know I had mentioned before about how how God would speak to me through the Bible, and I would hear a scripture and then I would go and read it and it would be a right on time word. So I use oracle cards and tarot cards in that same manner because they are all tools. We have multiple tools. The internet's a tool, the books are a tool, the music is a tool. Everything is a tool to shift energy. And air is a frequency and an element that is all around us. So both of these cards today are in alignment with the word and the air and the frequency. So it is number 34. And it says, the creature of the air says, I am willing to take my time. So that's the first message. I am willing to take my time. And the ancestral medicine, this book has several different parts of it, but I'm feeling called to share the ancestral medicine of this card. Again, I'll put it in the atmosphere. It says your ancestors are not always great communicators. Wow. You must heal this going forward. Respect your truth and the truths of those around you as well. Drop the mic. We talked about this. Okay. Okay. So give thanks for this divine message. The second card that I will share is this one. And it says, Mother of the Air, knowing boundaries. Boundaries is at the bottom, and it is card number 35. Oh, wow. And I just seen it. It's in synchronicity. It's number 34 and number 35 that came out back to back, both about air and frequency. So number 35, Mother of the Air, her declaration is, I speak with clarity. Girl, girl, girl. I can't get over it. This is in real time, y'all. This is no play. No play.
No play.
Please stand amazed. So the ancestral medicine of this is, are you suppressing your emotions? We all have had hard-edged queens in our lineage. If we ain't talked about it. You don't want to get on their bad side. Where can you use this wisdom in your own life? So if that ain't a word for us today, we give thanks. We give thanks. We give thanks. You are able to set your own boundaries, as I spoke about. You know, you can hear these words of these bitter women in our lives who really didn't have the tools or the access to tools to change their experiences. And they, in fact, have the heaviness of those words. You ain't nothing. You ain't worth nothing. You're black. You're ugly. You're fat. Nobody wants you. You know, all of those words that have been spoken into them without an outlet to transmute that energy has become who they are. So in fact, that is what we have embodied as we were in the wombs, as we spoke yesterday, of our mothers, of our grandmothers. This is what they were enduring, right? This was the plight of that era. But we are removing the veil. We are soul sisters speaking out, honey.
Fixing
crowns in the process. So this is a really, really, really beautiful time in our reality where we can take charge of our words, creating realities we want to experience, and also impacting the lives of those generations past and generations coming. So tap into your words, tap into your heart, tap into your mind, tap into your what I think I feel. Wait, what I see. Hold up.
Awaken the womb of my mind for what I
the womb of my mind.
I create.
Yes.
Awaken the womb of my heart for what I feel I create. Awaken my womb and my seat of creation for what I think and what I feel I birth through my seat of creation.
And we take authority of our words so that we can birth realities that we truly want to experience. Girl, we be getting fumbled in the moment, right?
No, it's like I say the prayer all day, every day. Yes. Soon as it gets time to say
it. Them is time for words. That's why they don't want them to just come out so freely. So yes, tap into embracing the queen within. We will give you the tea, sis, and allow you to begin to transform your life in an amazing way. So remember, in everything that you do, speak your truth. And peace and love. Until tomorrow.
Peace.